Hi, I am so excited to have you here, my forever chief of Miami firefighters, Maurice Kemp. I bring you greetings from everyone in District 2, especially the little boys and girls from Liberty City and Overtown. My joy is to make sure that if you're no longer here and I'm no longer here, they know what it's like to have us as leaders on our journey to help them on their journey. So how are you?
I'm great, Dr. Mindingall, and I'd like to start by thanking you for inviting me to the show. It's always an honor to be in your presence, and I'm especially honored to be on your show.
You are the best that I've known. I had never been on a fire truck in my life, but you know, as you're little, you ask the kids what they want to be. They say, I want to be a firefighter. And then when they would see me on the truck during the parades, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. parade, they could not believe that I was up there. But you saw to it that I would climb on that truck, get in the bucket, and wave to everyone. And my joy, Chief Kemp, was to see you all walk down 54th Street for that community to know that you decided that you would make this a big part of your journey and, of course, bring along others with you. So I want you to tell more about your childhood. Let's start there.
Okay, I was born in Miami at Mount Sinai Hospital and raised in Miami, right? Not far from here, 76 on First Avenue and Northwest 39th Street. In fact, my mom still lives in the house that I was raised in. She and my dad were married for 52 years until he transitioned in 2009. So I am a Miami boy.
Born
very
and
proud,
reared.
born and raised in Miami, attended Chatelain Elementary, Miami Edison Middle School, and graduated from Miami Edison Senior High in 1977.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there and ask you to talk a little bit about Miami Edison, because I remember the time that there were not people of color at that school. When did you go and how did you get there?
Well, I went to the senior high in 1974. And as I transitioned from middle school to senior high in 1974, we were a part of a very diverse population at Miami Edison. We had all ethnic groups, all races. Our Haitian American brothers and sisters had started coming over in substantial numbers several years prior to that when I was in middle school. So we were a very diverse group at Miami Edison Senior High at that time.
Wonderful. Now let's move on to your career. You went to Miami Edison, you graduated from there. Let's start with after graduation from Miami Edison, you went where to college? Let's talk about that.
I went to college at Allen University, which is an HBCU in Columbia, South Carolina. And while at Allen, I decided I would major in biology because I wanted to be a dentist. And I did well in college academically. Also, as you would imagine, I played basketball there, and I enjoyed that as well. But my dream was to be a dentist, not to be a professional basketball player. So when I got out of college, that first summer out of college, applying to various dental schools, I did not get in. So I failed to get into dental school. I stress the word fail because I want the young people to know that, you know, I didn't consider it a failure at the time. I considered it a redirection. So not getting into dental school, I started looking for work with a bachelor's degree in biology. And back then, we looked in the newspapers, in the want ads in the newspapers. And I kept seeing these ads for respiratory therapists. I'm like, what is that? I mean, lots of jobs for respiratory therapists. So I looked into it, and South Miami was hiring. They would hire you with the condition that you go to school, and as your schooling progressed, your responsibilities would progress. So I got into Miami-Dade College, and I started working at South Miami Hospital in respiratory therapy. And a part of the respiratory therapy training required that we ride on a fire rescue truck for one day. and I went into Miami, City of Miami Fire Station 7. The lieutenant was a young Carlos Jimenez.
Yes.
And at the end of that day, I remember thinking, this is a cool job. I could do that, And but I finished respiratory school, and 4 years later, I took the test to become a firefighter.
And from there, how did you get to, let's walk us all the way up, because I know you had to do a lot to become the chief. Let's let everyone watching know what it took for Maurice Kemp to become the chief. I want them to know that.
Okay, well, going back to my entry into the fire service, one of the things that interested me about the fire service is the respiratory training made me a better paramedic, and the paramedic training made me a better respiratory therapist. I started with the fire department with the intent of working in the hospital part-time. So I did both jobs for 9 years, full-time firefighter, part-time respiratory therapist. And the way the fire department works, after 4 years as a firefighter, you can take the test to become a lieutenant. And so I did. I think it was more like 6 years before the test was available to me. And after lieutenant, you can take the test to become captain. And after captain, you can take the test to become chief fire officer, and so forth and so on. Well, along my journey, it's interesting how things go full circle. In 1994, Carlos Jimenez was now the fire chief, and he appointed me to my first appointed position, which was division chief. And then that was in 94. In 1997, I became an assistant fire chief. And then in 1999, I became a deputy fire chief, and I served in that capacity for 10 years.
Wow.
And then in 2009, I was blessed to become the first African-American fire chief in the history of the Miami Fire Department. Now, that was the accelerated depiction of my transition in the fire service. There were a lot of things that happened along the way, a lot of challenges, a lot of successes, a lot of learning. I went back to school in 1997 and got a master's degree in public administration. Life happened along the way. And but I consider my story to be an interesting one. But the main point of my story is it was not a straight path. It was try it. If it works, you excel in it. If it doesn't work, you figure out a way to excel in something else.
That's what I want. Basically, why I do this is for everyone to know about you, but more so our children. To see you sitting here talking about, there might have been a few bumps along the way, but here you are. Tell the children again what you had to do and how did you get to sit in this chair. What would you say to them right now? What would you say to our children as to what you expect of them now that you're retired, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I retired in 2020.
Just stay on that track for a minute.
Okay, so what I would say to the children and what I've said to the children for as long as I've been in the fire service, because I love mentorship.
Yes.
And you love mentorship.
Yes.
And I met you 35, 36 years ago.
How about that?
What I would say to the children is prepare yourself to compete, because you will be competing for the rest of your life, be it for a position in college, for a seat in college, or for a job, or even for a spouse. You have to prepare yourself to compete and don't run away from competition.
Yes.
I mentioned promotional exams. Those exams are extremely competitive. You lock yourself up for 3 or 4 months, and all you focus on is preparing yourself to compete in these processes so that you can advance in your profession. So I would say prepare yourself to compete and know that you can be or do anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do if you're willing to put in the work.
But you have to hunker down.
You got to hunker down and don't listen to the naysayers. You know, I don't even see negativity. You know, if there's a negative person, the only time I deal with them is if I have to go through them or around them. But I don't listen to chatter. I don't listen to gossip. It's all about staying positive, staying focused, and preparing yourself to do better.
And as you moved along the way, you kept mentioning the congressman. Were you all, I would say, very good friends along your career path?
We were not very good friends
Okay.
until I became a part of his staff. You know,
Okay.
we knew each other. We competed on the fire department's basketball team. But when I became a part of the then fire chief staff is when I got to work shoulder to shoulder with the congressman. And I got to appreciate his ethics and his work ethic. And I learned a lot from him. And I'm grateful to him
Yes.
for everything that he saw in me even before I saw it in myself.
Well, I had to go back to him because I became very friendly with him.
Mm-hmm.
He has been one that I can call upon to make sure that I get some things done. And we're talking so that the audience knows, we're talking about Congressman Carlos Jimenez. Tell me about your honors and awards that you've got. I guess we have time for you to talk about them.
Well, I'd have to think about it for a minute. I was recognized by the Metropolitan Fire Chiefs Association several years ago as Fire Chief of the Year. They also gave me a separate award, which is the President's Award. The president of that organization gave me an award. I've been entered into the Miami-Dade College Alumni Hall of Fame, the Miami Edison Senior High School Alumni Hall of Fame, and several other things that I'd actually have to read my resume to remember, because like I said, I don't spend much time on negativity, but also I take the time to pat myself on the back and then move forward.
Then keep moving.
Then keep moving.
Please understand that there is no other person. I have to say my staff has worked hard to try to get you in to that chair, because there are quite a few who would want to sit in that chair. But I have made up my mind when I started doing this journey that I would honor those who deserve honor. Tell me a little bit about your brothers. I know they're going to see this, but I tell all people that we come from our standing on the shoulders of others. Your brothers were firefighters, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Talk about them for a minute and how the family feels about this. Were they competitive?
When I joined the fire department in 1985, ironically, my mom was against the idea because she was worried about the danger of it all.
Yes.
But 4 years later, I didn't die, I didn't get hurt. So when my older brother Ulysses wanted to join, she was all for it.
Okay.
So Ulysses Kemp came on 4 years after me in 1989. Then 2 years later, James, my youngest brother, joined the fire service. So we were all Miami firefighters, and we're all now retired. James retired as a fire captain, and Ulysses retired as a firefighter, paramedic, and a plans reviewer, as well as a fire inspector. Wonderful. So we all are very proud of the fact that we were able to spend our careers providing service to the community that we were born and raised in. I mean, one of my favorite periods on the fire department was working out of Fire Station 12, which is on 46th Street and 14th Avenue, and which meant I was responding to my community, literally the area that I grew up in.
It's true.
And ensuring that the citizens and residents and visitors in that community got the absolute best care they could.
So what are you doing now?
Right now, I am. My mom is 90 years old, and we're blessed to still have her as a part of our lives. So I spend a good deal of time with her. I'm still a part of the 5,000 Role Models. Very proud of that organization and to be a participant. And I am doing what I've always done, which is I'm a recruiter unofficially for the fire service. So if I bump into a young man or a young woman, I will, and people often refer folks to me because they know I do this. I will do everything I can to mentor, prepare, and help them to compete to get into somebody's fire department.
Well, don't we partner with you? Don't we have something named in your honor?
We do. We do.
Talk about that.
What we have is the Maurice Kemp EMS Academy. And I started, we started this in the Miami Fire Department probably, and now it's probably been 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. We started at Miami Edison Senior High School with the help of the Dade County Public School System, with the help of you, Dr. Mindingall, with the help of Congresswoman Frederica Wilson. We started this program as a part of the day-to-day curriculum at Miami Edison Senior High School. And we ran it in that mode for a few years. It was successful, moderately successful. It had some challenges. One being we were dealing with children, which meant to bring them to the hospitals for internships, to get them on the fire rescue trucks. Everything required the parental permission and parental involvement, which was okay, but it was cumbersome. So probably 15 years ago, we transitioned it to a post-high school program. So this is a program where young men and women, primarily from the Miami-Dade public school system, partnering with the 5,000 role models, because that helps us with the demographics, to get kids who weren't exposed to this. I say we because I'm still a part of the Miami Fire Department. We offer these young folks full scholarships to become emergency medical technicians. Mm-hmm. They go to our fire college, they're in uniform, they're interacting with the firefighters, they have mentors who are firefighters to get them through the program, and when they're done, they take the state test to become a certified emergency medical technician. And this certification not only qualifies them to take the test to be a Miami firefighter, but is also marketable in the hospital systems and the private ambulance services. And a certain number of these individuals are given paramedic scholarships. So you'll take a high school graduate with no certifications and take them through EMT and some through paramedic. And then you help guide them through application processes and help them to compete for fire department jobs anywhere, not just in the City of Miami Fire Department. And I wasn't vain enough to name that after myself. My successor, the current fire chief, Joe Zaralban, honored me by naming the program after me when I retired.
That's awesome. Well, I try to make sure that I ask all of the questions that I would think that the people who know you would want you to answer, but I have one more. Do you visit schools and speak?
I do.
Do you come to, which schools have you spoken?
Well, every year I do the African American Read Aloud at Ponce de Leon in the Grove, and then any other opportunities that come to me when the role models are at schools or anybody that asks me to come, I'll come.
Okay, well, I had to get that in because I know people are observing and they want to know from me, how do I get to speak with Chief Kemp? This has been the joy of my life. I hope you have enjoyed it. It's just so much, that you have done that I want individuals to know. I know you well, and I should say this to you. There comes a time when we get to a stage in our lives that we are not too sure if we've done all that we can do, but we leave a legacy best we can. So I want to thank you, Chief Kemp, for taking your time to come on this journey with me. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mindingall.
You're welcome.